Good evening and welcome. You're watching The Big Fight, a show that is young at 23, the oldest running debate show on Indian news television. I'm Sanket Upadhyay. So, a lot of things have happened and we have continuously debated and discussed about these issues. I have a list. Rahul Gandhi's disqualification, debated a lot. Parliament logjam and finally adjourned sine die, debated. Opposition unity and protest, debated. Exits from the Congress, a Ghulam Nabi Azad interview this last week, and then Anil Antony's exit, that has also been debated and discussed. But in the Prime Minister's speech on Thursday, on the 43rd foundation day of the BJP, among the many things that he said, and surprisingly, this one point did not really find its place in headlines in prominent newspapers, is the use of the word Badshahi. This is the same BJP which in its narrative to attack the Congress has used earlier in the past a word called Shehzada and now Badshahi, a reference to a sort of a feudal mindset, a mindset where one suffers from a sense of entitlement, where he was drawing parallel from the Mughal Raj to the British rule. And while he was making that comparison, he said that this Badshahi mentality remained in this country till 2014, which means from 1947 to 2014, Badshahi existed. If this is going to be the narrative of the BJP, then whose Badshahi narrative will work on the ground? If the BJP has decided to call the Congress's mindset, presumably, as Badshahi in this country. It was very obvious in his speech. Who is going to be the Badshah of the narratives in 2024? We are building up, less than a year left now for that big battle. Let us begin our big fight. I would like to introduce our guest in the studio, Aarti Jairath, senior journalist. We also have Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, spokesperson of the BJP, Shama Mohammed, spokesperson of the Congress, PKD Nambiar is a political analyst, Smita Gupta is a senior journalist, Vinod Agnihotri, senior journalist, Deshratan Nigam, political analyst, and Mr. Rashid Kidwai, a senior journalist, who's the only one who's not in the studio right now. We have a full house in the NDTV studios. Thank you very much for joining us. Let us begin with what we call is the first punch, where each of you get 1 minute time for your opening comments. We'll first begin with you, Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal. Your time starts now.
If you talk about the mindset, what the Prime Minister had been saying, I'll just quote one article which was on the editorial page of Guardian in 2014 when the Narendra Modi ji came to power. They had written that finally now the imperial Britishers have left the country. This was the editorial headline when the Prime Minister took the oath of in 2014. So what has been, and now if you look into the current situation also, why all the opposition parties went to the parliament, to the Supreme Court, and what was their contention? There should be a different law for the political people. So the issue is about the mindset. There is a different kind of treatment that they want. Even on the law enforcement agencies, their all contention is the law of the land will not be applicable to them. They should have a different procedure for judicially also. The thing is, entitlement versus empowerment is the issue. There was a section which the Prime Minister had been saying several times that a particular group people or with the mindset were always trying that they have an entitlement to the resources, they have the entitlement to rule the country, they have everything on their own, and rest have to be only have to beg for the things.
Okay.
So there is a different attitude with the Prime Minister from 2014. If you look into the reach of the government services, government welfare schemes, the penetration which when the Prime Minister has identified 115 aspirational districts, and we are talking of 100% saturation, controlling all leakages.
Okay.
So the thing is,
Okay, I'm going to come back to you, Mr. Agarwal. Your 1 minute time is up. Shama Mohammed, your opening comments.
Okay, what do you mean by Badshahi means somebody who is entitled. What are we seeing after 2014? We see an entitlement where nobody can question the Badshah of politics, that is Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. Now, you have a corruption case right now happening, Mr. Adani's. Before 2014, what do you see? Any allegations against the UPA, the minister, so-called minister steps down. There is an impartial investigation. When they ask for a JPC, we are ready for JPC. I still remember Augusta Westland, ready for JPC. The 3G, it was the winter session of 2007 washed out, but JPC given. Anything I remember is that we would step down. Now, what happens right now is whenever there is an allegation, nothing. There is no discussion on these allegations. We had huge corruption allegations even before this. We wanted to discuss demonetization. We wanted to discuss many other things, but nothing. Number two, before 2014, he was telling just now that, they have a dynastic attitude or something like that. Who got right to information in this country? The Congress party, where you can question anybody in the government, even any politician on what is happening. Food Security Act to help the poor, who got it? The Congress party. Okay. Right to education, the Congress party. So where is the Badshah attitude before 2014? Okay. No, one more. The media could question. My time is less than that. The media, that's what, look at that. The time of the Congress person is less than the BJP. The media could question anytime, anybody at that point of time. The government was questioned day in and day out. Okay. Now the opposition is questioned. The ED and enforcement director, anybody is sent to the opposition. And one last thing. Yeah. We've been asking for a JPC on Mr. Adani's issue. My question is not even ED. An ED investigation has not happened after so much of allegation on this particular thing.
Okay. In all fairness, I think now we have an equal balance of BJP and Congress. Rashid Kidwai, your opening comments, sir.
I think the BJP is very good at, packaging a political narrative and what is obvious and what is not so obvious. So the reference to when you say Badshahi, at a time when Mughal history is being, sought to be, erased or diluted from history books, etc. So there is a particular culture, the time period of Indian history, and in the present, there may not be any relevance to common sense or to a citizen, but a relevance is sought to be made between Gandhis and the great Mughals, etc. So that a kind of a particular twist is given in the subconscious level of the voter, and that is a design Mr. Modi and the BJP are very good at doing it. And opposition, it can go on opposing it, but it's the narrative is not, first of all, it's not purposeful, it's not direct, and it does not reach out to. Remember, at the community level, we have a lot of fault lines are there. The BJP has been very smartly able within the ambit of parliamentary democracy are able to highlight, accentuate it, and reap very rich political benefit from it.
Okay. Mr. Vinod Agnihotri.
Actually, Prime Minister is a superstar campaigner for the BJP. And when he speaks, that becomes the narrative. And he's trying to build a new narrative for 2024, and that is his attack on family politics, on politics of entitlement, and he's targeting the entire opposition, including Congress. Because you see, when he said from 1947 to 2014, there was a Badshahi. Now, after 2014, there is no Badshahi. But irony is that in this era, the 6 years of Atal Bihari Vajpayee government included 2 years for Morarji government, 10 months for VP Singh government supported by BJP and left both, and Devgowda government and Chandrasekhar government, Charan Singh government, IK Gujarat government. And Shastriji's government. Shastriji is always praised by the BJP. He was this is the question. And another thing I would like to point out, all the governments since 1947 to 2019 are elected governments. Yeah. They're not appointed or nominated. So the Badshahi means it's a feudal word. Yeah. Badshahi is somebody has appointed by a monarch. Sure. But I think he's attacking on the mindset.
Okay. So this distinction that you have made, we'll talk about this, whether this distinction will be made in the minds of the electorate, in the minds of the voters. Aarti Jairath, your opening comments.
Sanket, honestly, today, the Badshahs in this country are the politicians. And I'm sorry to sound so anti-politician because after all we are a democracy and we are dependent on politicians to keep our democracy alive. But if you look at them today, their cars, the entourage they go around with, the lal battis, the way, I mean, we've read so many incidents, and this cuts across party lines, okay? It's BJP, Congress, everybody beating up, sort of MCD official because there's some garbage lying somewhere, picking up a bucket of rubbish and throwing it on, a government official. Is that not a feudal mindset? Is that not the behavior of old feudal zamindars, nawabs or, kings? Is that not the way they behaved? So, I'm sorry. I mean, Badshahi mindset cuts across party lines. Everybody, every politician is a victim of it because once they get into that gaddi, that power, it goes to their heads.
Yeah. So that chair itself makes you a Badshahi. Okay.
Absolutely.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And then everyone's equal when it comes to that chair. Interesting. Smita Gupta, your opening comments.
See, when you have a Badshah, lots of things become off limits. Because the Badshahi is going through a certain area, so people are not allowed. Since 2014, that's a lot of things in this country have become off limits for ordinary people like us, even journalists. So I would like to start with the question, who is the Badshah in this story? Secondly, I'd like to say that why Badshah, why not Maharaj or Rajkumar? Instead of Shahzada, because after all, the words have been used by somebody who prefers Hindi, who prefers words that have a Sanskrit origin. But this is deliberately used because this is dog whistle politics. We are referring to Muslims. It's an anti-Muslim.
Oh, you think
thing.
so?
Absolutely. Why not use Rajkumar and Maharaja? It means the same thing. Maharajas and Rajkumars had the same weaknesses that Badshahs and Shahzadas had, if you look at our history very carefully. And thirdly, I would like to say that both these expressions were used in 2013. Obviously, he thinks that this has got more traction and he wants to use it further. Okay. Finally, one last point I want to make is that it is an incontrovertible fact that the Gandhis are the glue that holds the Congress party together. And the BJP, despite the fact that the Congress electoral graph has been plunging, is still obviously not that sure. They don't want to leave anything to chance. So their target is obviously Rahul Gandhi.
Okay.
And they need to destroy him.
Mr. Deshathan Nigam and then PKT Nambiar. Yes.
Sanket, in fact, when the Mr. Modi spoke, he spoke as a leader of the BJP, not as the Prime Minister, and he was addressing his own party men. That distinction has to be maintained by everybody. And when he talks of Badshah and the Shahzadas, let me create a distinction between Rajkumars and Badshahs or the Maharajas. The Rajkumars and the Maharajas never had the harem of 5,000 ladies, nor they paid taxes to Khalifa. Nor they paid taxes to Khalifa for ruling in India. So that's a distinction. They were very indigenous, very rooted to Indian civilization and culture. So this is not Muslim. I'm talking about invaders. If you want to
get to the big fight. It's his opening.
No, but she was interfering.
Sure,
so don't do that.
Yeah.
So that's the distinction. The mentality, he was touching on the psychological trait and mindset, as some other co-panelists have also said, of certain sections of our society who are also leaders, represent quite a substantial number of people with a sense of entitlement. हम हैं, बाकी कोई नहीं है. I have a dynastic right over my party. Only members of my party will be able to rule and take decisions. Okay. The people will be de facto rulers within their own party. So this is the kind of mentality he was pointing out.
Okay, fine. PKT Nambiar. We'll come to the objection to what you said in just a little moment. Yeah.
When the Prime Minister was addressing his own party men, the whole idea of mentioning this word Badshahi is very simple. Is the feudalistic mindsets exist in the Indian politics today? I would say to a great extent it does. Yeah, starting from the DMK, look at from Karunanidhi to MK Stalin and Udayanidhi Maran. Even TMC, Mamata Banerjee to her own nephew. Or NCP, Sharad Pawar to his daughter. So there is a culture, KCR and his son or his daughter. So there is a feudal mindset. Feudal mindset is all about the inheritance of power. Automatically, not without even whether they have the quality, whether they don't have the quality, whether they have the acumen to be in politics. And it starts with Rahul Gandhi. What is the political acumen of Rahul Gandhi? We have all seen in the last so many years. But is he a Shahzada? Of course he is a Shahzada. Is he the final word in Congress? Of course he is the final word. Is he the one who takes every decision in Congress? Yes, he is the one who takes it. So how he has become into that position of taking every decision is called as the feudal mindset, and that is
fine.
the Badshahi.
So opening comments time up. Now let's start the big fight, right? Shama Mohammed, just a short while ago, you heard what Mr. Deshratan Nigam was saying, and you found what he said was incorrect.
Anti-Muslim.
Anti-Muslim.
What I'm saying.
Why do you feel that the usage of the words, Smita Gupta also spoke about this, the usage of words like Shahzada and Badshah is an indirect or a direct reference to Muslims? And reflecting of a mentality of being quote-unquote anti-Muslim.
So there's a prime minister who says he wants to be inclusive, all right? But whenever there are issues against, now I as a Muslim can say, today on your channel after 2014, I feel like a second-class citizen in this country because of him. And the reason being is that whenever there are issues, now one of the biggest examples is how Bilkis Banu's rapists have been let loose, the remission given. She's a fighter, let's understand. She stands for many, not just Muslim women, for all women. What she's gone through in Gujarat, the case had to be shifted. Her 3-year-old daughter's head was smashed. And that particular person was sitting with a BJP MP and MLA on stage, one of the rapists recently in Gujarat. But none of you are debated on that. What is happening? So every time when Nasser and Junaid have been burned alive in Haryana, what is action being taken? Where is Monu Manesar? Nothing. We don't hear anything about it. But and those lynch mobs being let loose. The Prime Minister should come and say, "Main ninda karti hu." He doesn't condemn it. Then you have the President of the Bharatiya Janata Party in Meghalaya saying, "You can eat beef." So, for power, the Bharatiya Janata Party is ready to do anything. So every time, bulldozers on Muslim houses. Let me finish. Bulldozers on Muslim houses. You remember the Agniveer scheme, what happened? That time, a lot of police stations were burned down. Many things were burned down. Did any bulldozer go to anybody's house? So whenever there's an issue of stone pelting, I say arrest whoever is doing it. Let the law take its own course. Put them behind bars. And then just one other thing. He spoke about dynastic thing, about how, I think he spoke about it, how, there are different families out there. I am telling him today, let the Prime Minister of India not give Yedurappa's son ticket. Let him not give Narayan Rane's son ticket.
No. Has he become the Chief Minister of Karnataka?
Let me finish. No.
I'm called as dynasty is that, ma'am? It is not about that his son cannot have a position as an MLA. He cannot have a political ambition. What are you talking about? The dynasty politics? Dynasty politics is simple, Sanket.
No. Dynastic politics is...
Let me come in. Mr. Gopalakrishnan,
so what I'm saying
heard
is
what
that...
Shama Mohammed said. She says that by definition...
When they're calling out from Uttarakhand, they call for the genocide of Muslims.
What is happening?
Did the Prime Minister of India condemn it?
I think I get your point. What she's trying to say is that there are a number of cases that have happened where the leadership has been found wanting. And by extension, this is a reflection of what Badshahi is and not what existed earlier.
Sanket,
it's not just about dynasty politics, it's about what you do when you're at the head.
Sanket, there are 2 points which are emerging.
Yeah.
Whether it is communal versus secular politics or dynastic versus democratic. These are the 2 issues that we are debating. On the secular versus communal, this is Shama Mohammed, what she is doing is creating a narration of communalism, putting out on BJP. If you see the welfare schemes, the maximum benefits of welfare scheme of our government are going to minorities. I can give you quote the figures, etc. All the welfare. No, you have to listen. Sachar committee, what did this give the report? The Muslims of this country have the worst situation after 60 years of Congress rule. So this is the narration on which Congress has been feeding on their politics. And another point that I want to mention is, let me finish on the Badshahi issue. what is there? The mindset when the Prime Minister is talking about is the way the Congress has not accepted the Prime Minister as democratically elected Prime Minister of the country. Every action, every leader's action of the opposition is they are not accepting the democratically elected Prime Minister of this country. Last point, Sanket. One more, 10 more seconds.
Is the BJP accepting a democratic mandate in various states where you practice
subverted democracy? That's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
you have subverted democracy.
How
can you tell me
works?
Why did you subvert Karnataka? Operation Lotus. Explain.
It works through institutions. Every institution of the country has been derogated by the opposition, Supreme Court, Election Commission, Parliament.
I want to laugh, Sanket,
denouncing every institution. How democracy will work if the Supreme Court says the Rafale issue is dead, still they are talking about. If the democracy says 2002 riots are completely, now decision has come, they are again racking up. How Election Commission, when they lose Election Commission is
okay, fine. I get
Election Commission was summoned.
Democracy will work through institutions.
The Election Commission was summoned by the PMO.
Which is why,
or their mindset.
Let me involve everyone. Ma'am, please let me involve everyone.
Election Commission was summoned.
Aarti Jairat, one moment. Aarti Jairat. Now do you realize the reason why I chose to debate on the word Badshahi? Because see, this is the new narrative which is going to polarize opinion, and which is exactly what has happened right here. Aarti Jairat, do you feel that this new narrative, it's not technically new because the BJP has,
they've done it before. The same words were used by the Prime Minister.
No, they've whipped up this
10
contrast
years
in the
ago.
past also. But do you feel that in this narrative battle, the Congress, which made certain headway, by highlighting the Hindenburg report and also the Rahul Gandhi's disqualification, do you think that this is going to negate a lot of what opposition unity, the fact that more and more parties are now coming together in the opposition space?
It's difficult to say. I mean, the fact is that the BJP is very good at spinning a narrative. There's no question about it. And I find
Badshahi being the latest.
Badshahi being the latest. And, to a large extent, this negates whatever gains Rahul Gandhi may have made through his Bharat Jodo Yatra, which actually was the opposite of a Badshahi mentality because, he went out there on the road talking to people, common people, which is something that the Prime Minister never does and has not done in the last 10 years, probably not even as Chief Minister of Gujarat. He's always addressed from a podium, surrounded by security, that great gap between him and the people. So, it does negate it. But we have to see, if the opposition is able to come up with any kind of a counter to this. I don't know whether they are capable of it. Frankly, today I don't see, anybody who is capable of spinning a narrative as well as Prime Minister Modi. And, when you start polarizing, Sanket, emotions get so high, it becomes very difficult to, counter that. Once you make it into Hindu versus Muslims, Badshah versus Maharaj, it's very difficult. We saw what was happening here, both sides screaming. And the sad thing is that a lot of what Shama is saying is correct. I mean, I don't know how many benefits are going to the Muslims. He says that a lot of the Prime Minister's welfare schemes are being...
Let's take a counter to that.
One second. Let me hello, let me finish. You shouted in my ear enough now. Let me finish. The fact is that we do see Muslim homes being bulldozed. We do see Muslims being picked up and harassed by the police, and nobody from the state intervenes. In fact, when the clerics went to meet Amit Shah just the other day,
in the dead of the night,
yes, the Amit Shah said that he would address these issues, their concerns. So obviously it's an admission that there are concerns that the Muslim community has.
Okay.
So, I don't know, what
PKD
you're talking about.
Some of the commentary that has happened, PKD Nambiar over here says that who is the Badshahi? Was Badshahi prevalent before 2014? Or is Badshahi prevalent
The
now?
Badshahi is Narendra Modi.
Okay.
That is the Badshahi
Okay.
who does
Your-
whatever
your-
he
your
wants.
response.
Our parliament
According to
has
Shama
my turn.
Mohammed,
It's
Narendra
my
Modi is the...
turn. It's my turn.
One more. Yeah.
because our parliament has been
It's my
muted.
turn.
Ma'am,
It's
one
my
by
turn.
one.
It's my
Democracy
turn.
is
Parliament
dead.
has been muted. according to
Democracy
Shama
is dead,
Mohammed.
and
Democracy
Rahul
is dead,
Gandhi
and that-
wanted to speak in parliament.
Okay,
You did not allow him
okay,
to
one-
speak.
one.
He wrote to the speaker. He
Let's
says,
listen
I
to the
want to
response.
speak. And you don't allow.
And he will speak all
He-
lies and
that is
all-
our wish. What
no
we
authentication of
Okay,
any-
the PKD Nambiar, please.
What I think Shama was able to do is to create, and that is what the Congress culture is always about, that creating some kind of a division in amongst the people, whether it is even in the panel or in the country. And she has been able to make that, because RTG generally never get into such kind of a trap, but she also got into it. That means you are
RTG
successful,
has
my
fallen
dear
into
friend.
a trap.
Yeah, So that means you are successful
Because
with that.
RTG
But
has
one thing
fallen
I'll
into a
tell you,
trap.
one thing I'll tell you, yeah, when the government of India
Don't make me out to be such a
RTG, one second.
dimwit, but
When the government of India sends the ration, is it discriminate between a Muslim, Christian and a Hindu? When the government of India comes up with a particular yojana for the public of India, will that differentiate
Can I
between
come
a
in?
Hindu,
Yeah, one
Muslim and a
the
Christian?
triple talaq,
When
what you
the
call it is
triple talaq was
anti-Muslim.
launched, is it only
I'll
the
talk
benefit
about
of
that.
the Muslim woman, or is it for the... I think discriminating people in the name of religion is actually being the tool of Congress culture, not from today, from the 1947. I think enough, Shama. The
Sanket.
time has come for you today, 2023. Your kids don't want to identify them as a Christian or a Muslim, or my son don't want to identify himself as a Hindu or a Muslim. But why don't you think of a proud India? And every
I know, but then
Indian,
the point
No,
is,
one
is that
point.
happening now? Has
all
that
the
effort,
benefits
one
of
moment,
the ration.
well,
When
Mr.
the
Nambiar,
houses were
has that
made,
effort
if
begun
the
post
government is
2014?
building houses,
One
is
more.
it only for
Can I
Hindus?
ask you this question?
Can I-
Yeah,
I
exactly.
want to ask one question.
Has that
And let me
process
ask you
begun?
this. Why don't you say that the people whose houses were bulldozed, they were anti-national, anti-elements,
How can
rather
you
than
bulldoze
calling
a
themselves
house?
as
You
a
should
Muslim?
go through the-
That itself shows
No,
your
no,
mindset,
you- no, no.
Shama. That itself
The
shows the
point,
Congress
Vinod Agnihotri,
mindset.
the point...
I want to reply to one point.
Let me please conduct this debate, please. Vinod Agnihotri, I think the point that is being made is that, again, while making this point of how Badshahi has ended post 2014, you brought a point of negating the contributions of previous governments, some of the governments that this own government celebrates in the past. Apart from that, do you think this distinction is now being made in the public domain of whether Badshahi existed earlier or does it exist now?
Actually, Sanket, I would like to point out 2-3 points. Number one, Prime Minister has come from a very humble background. He represents the common people of the India. In other side, you see Rahul Gandhi is from Gandhi family. Akhilesh Yadav, son of Mulayam Singh, Tejaswi from Lalu Yadav.
So he tries to build this contrast.
He's trying to build that contrast, number one side. A person from a humble background versus politics of entitlement. This is number one. Number two, why he has chosen Badshahi? A Prime Minister who is from the ideologically and politically from that party, they are from Hindu Sanskriti and Bharati Sanskriti. So he should have chosen Samrat or Rajkumar. But Badshahi means, do you know, Babur was the first Badshahi. Before Badshahi, there was a Sultan in Indian history. And who has given the title of Babur? Guru Nanak Dev.
Guru Nanak
Dev.
Okay.
So Badshahi...
You feel Badshahi, the term is being demonized?
Badshahi represents Mughal dynasty, Muslim dynasty. Raja Samrat means lot of Hindu...
So this is the third person who has said the same thing.
No, and second,
let me finish.
Nambiar, I don't interrupt you, please.
Yeah.
Let me finish. This is not the...
Absolutely.
Number one. Number two, a clear-cut divide between haves and haves not. Remember the speeches of the Prime Minister during Notebandi? Seth ji, lut gaye. See? And so one side, haves and have not, politics of entitlement versus politics of humble people. And third one, on the
subtle Hindu-Muslim message.
Polarization of Hindu-Muslim.
Okay.
Because अगर आप सम्राट कहेंगे, you say सम्राट, तो वो बात नहीं बनती है, जो शमशान और कब्रिस्तान में बन जाती है.
I want to reply
To understand.
to
Okay.
और last point I would like to mention, my friend Nambiar said dynastic politics. your Chief Minister of Karnataka is son of S.R. Bommai. He is from the dynastic politics. How do you defend this? Every party is infected with the dynastic politics. And if someone has...
Rajnath Singh, Pankaj Singh.
I've told you so many names.
Yeah.
If Jyotiraditya is there now.
If someone
I mean,
has...
you've taken all of
Maharaj
them.
कहने में ये problem
Maharaj ही है.
Maharaj भी
Jyotiraditya Scindia is what?
Scindia is there.
So you
Srimant is
take...
there.
No. We can go on with... No, I just want to...
One line. I'm going to conclude. The number one is that if someone has took birth in a royal family or a prominent family, that is not his fault. But birth is not in our hand.
Yeah.
So that means he should be deprived from all the rights. But after all, whether he is Rahul Gandhi or Akhilesh Yadav or even Basavaraj Bommai or Basundhara,
they
are elected. They have to prove, and they are elected by the people. Rahul Gandhi was defeated from Amethi.
Okay.
Despite he is a son of Rajiv Gandhi, but he is defeated.
Desh Ratan Nigam and then Mr. Rashid Kidwai, who I think is missing out on all the action because he is not here in the studio. Desh Ratan Nigam and then Mr. Kidwai.
Sanket, let me give credit to the Congress for bringing Food Security Act. But then what Rajiv Gandhi said, I give you 1 rupee, the 85 paisa is taken away. Therefore, they have a food security which they brought in, but the food, if they gave 10 kg, the 9 kg went away to somebody else. It never reached the intended people.
This is ridiculous. What are you saying?
Let me give you the facts and data. This
He
is what
wanted to correct it.
Rajiv Gandhi said it. Rajiv Gandhi said it. Rajiv Gandhi said it.
Security Act came in long after
2013.
Rajiv
That is
Gandhi.
what I'm saying. 2013.
Actually, to try and plug that.
That's what I'm saying.
Alright.
That is what I'm
What is
saying.
the correlation between the two?
Allow me to finish, Sanket. This is
When we get out of good scheme also, we are
Right.
against.
One by one, please.
You're trying to heckle me, but I don't.
No, I'm
I
not
don't.
taking you. I'm just trying
You are
to
trying to have your turn and speak.
Mr. Nigam, please.
No, that is the kind of culture I am pointing out. It's not the time frame I am giving, the kind of culture that was prevalent at that point of time. The corruption and the leakage to the tune of 2 lakh crores which BJP says we have saved and given it to the people. One. Secondly, when they talk of, kind of why BJP wins, it's a moot question that needs to be answered. Everybody talked about it's the delivery of these schemes. And there was a survey done by few channels. At least in this country.
Only delivery of schemes.
Delivery of scheme is one of the major important factors is that at least 54 crores people in this country have benefited from one or the either schemes and the delivery is going without any leakage. That is what Rajiv Gandhi pointed out. That is what the Badshahi mentality was.
In this very government, the Manrega money is not being allocated to many governments.
No,
they are suffering.
Why?
Many of the Mazdurs are not getting their
Sanket,
payment.
One
moment. I'm just giving like a counter.
The issue is why Manrega budget is low.
Yes.
The issue is there were the leakages in the system when biometric thumb impression started doing round. All the elements which were not in existence that have gone out.
We are digressing a little, but 100 days of minimum employment is not. I mean, you have these workers who are
issue is not
protesting.
8 crore people went during the COVID time, and they came. That's how they were saved.
In Tamil Nadu, the government returned the money.
Okay.
Because the people, the genuine people were not there. Because of the biometric system.
Even in the
by the government's own admission, in many states, people are not fulfilling that 100-day minimum guaranteed employment.
The biometric impressions were recording of attendance started. Therefore, the problem was.
Okay, we are digressing. But
no, the issue is not. The thing is, if you call triple talaq a communal action.
I want to
what
talk
do you
about that.
say? The thing is, government schemes without any distinction of caste, religion or anything.
No, Mr. Agarwal, are you trying to say that there is no subtle messaging, no discrimination?
No, there is a messaging. I am telling you, there was a message for 60 years that minorities have a upper hand on the resources of the country.
Yeah.
The thing was, and that was a political statement. If they had done rightly for the minorities upliftment, such a committee report would not have
let
come.
me quickly come back. Let's quickly come back to the Badshahi battle. Mr. Kidwai wants to
reason being, I was cut short while I was speaking.
Very quickly,
That
please.
is cut short by Gopal. discussing
See, let me, one thing about Bilkis Bano. We all are discussing Bilkis Bano. Wonderful. It's good. It should be discussed. There is no doubt. We can discuss the legalities or the otherwise. But please spare a thought of about 59 car sevaks who were roasted alive. Nobody wants to discuss that. Why is it so?
No, the remission is for them.
Why?
You bring
no, why? Whenever Bilkis Bano
why
will be there,
are you comparing Bilkis Banu's to... No, we are talking about the case where there is a remission to a lady who was raped, saw her mother and father, mother and sister being raped.
Who were burnt alive.
Nobody is saying it's wrong.
No, but then again,
nobody is saying it is wrong. That does justify this.
Please spare a thought.
So who's not sparing a thought?
Why are you doing this whataboutery?
No whataboutery. You don't want to discuss it.
No,
you want to brush it under the carpet. That's what you are doing now also.
There was a
You are doing now also. You are brushing under the carpet now also. Now you are brushing under the carpet. Don't do that.
Time out in the studio. I have to go to Mr. Kidwai. He's been patiently waiting. Mr. Kidwai.
After that is me.
Yes, of course. Mr. Kidwai, your impression on whether this word is going to carry weight and meaning going forward, where everyone will be, I don't know, maybe entitled to their own view on who really is the Badshah and who is practicing Badshahi.
Yes, Sanket. So it's spoken with a political intent. The Prime Minister remains a Prime Minister even if he's speaking at a party forum. The whole idea of what is being said about, so many people are getting food grain, etc., government subsidies and government scheme. We must never forget the elementary thing that we are a constitutional democracy. There is a rule of law. The Prime Minister and the entire government has taken oath of office that they will treat every citizen of the country in equal measure. So this whole talk of this, preferential treatment, etc., and talaq, which was, of course, a legal matter, is irrelevant. The fact that, we know that this is Bhakti ka Amrit Kal. So we get so much carried away when we talk about Vanshwad. Look at the irony of it, Sanket. Yesterday was that foundation day of the BJP and Anil Antony joins in. What is Anil Antony's claim to fame? See, this is illogical of Mr. Nambiar or anyone who perpetuates that logic that the entry level, Vanshwad is fine. And then later on, if you become a, president, it is wrong because it becomes a Bapauti. And then the discrimination takes place when the entry level takes place because the seat of a Parsha, MLA or a parliamentarian. That's the thing. Now, Mr. Modi has redefined, but I see no compulsion why my good friend Mr. Nambiar should be, supporting that line of argument. Is he joining the, Bhakti Kal?
Can I come in? I need to.
Because Mr. Kidwai, this is a very pointed. Yeah, I will come. He very, very specific and pointed question for Mr. Nambiar.
Rashid Bhai and me go a long way and we are very good friends. But one thing I'll tell you, the problem whenever we talk about the dynasty politics, and if somebody who is talking against it, that itself should be uploaded, whether it is the Prime Minister or someone else. We also know that from over the last so many years, how the dynasty politics have ruined this country, as from Deshrattanji said that, or even the former Prime Minister once said that, paisa pahunchta hi nahi hai. You criticize a particular government on the basis of facts. We accept it. But why this political abuse on a Prime Minister every day and day out without having even a strong base? I think the problem today is that it is not about just the dynasty. Then the question is that Rajnath Singh and Pankaj Singh. But one thing I'll tell you, Rajnath Singh was the Chief Minister of UP, but Pankaj Singh became the Chief Minister of UP? No. Rajnath Singh was the President of Bharatiya Janata Party twice, more than 3 times. Has he become Pankaj Singh became the Prime Minister, the President of the party? No. So I think the logic of dynasty politics is simple. The logic of dynasty politics
conditions apply, star will
I think one has to look at it in a very balanced way.
Rahul Gandhi becoming the President of...
Smita Gupta is not spoken. I'll come to you right after because
isn't it an actual one?
Yeah, Smita Gupta.
So my dynasty is okay, but yours is a problem.
So tell me few dynasts.
Okay, anyway.
Few dynasts which
No, it's okay.
is
It's okay.
power.
It's
Tell
okay.
me.
1 minute.
I
first want to make one point. 1 minute. I didn't interrupt you.
Yeah, please, go on.
You're talking about Muslims and discrimination against Muslims. So I wonder how many people here know that there is a reservation for OBCs, and in many states,
I'm
many
just going to say
Muslim
that.
castes are within that OBC caste. We know that the bulk of Muslims in this country are OBCs. They
May I
ha-
ask you
but
that
but
is
one
there
minute.
an OBC
Mr. Nambiar, one
within the community?
Mr.
Let me
Nambiar,
ask you
one-
this.
one minute.
Tell me,
Let-
one minute,
tell me,
please.
in the Hindu system there is
Mr.
OBC,
Nambiar,
scheduled
Mr.
caste,
Nambiar, it doesn't
scheduled
work like
tribe.
this.
Listen, you have to listen to me.
It doesn't
I have
work like
listened very
this.
patiently
Please
to
go
you.
on.
One moment. It
Please
doesn't
go.
work like that.
So
Yes.
recently it has been, the BJP governments in different states are gradually removing. It's been removed already in UP. So this is discrimination, because this was an avenue for many poor Muslims to get education in decent institutions. Secondly, it is very, very clear that when the BJP runs out of ideas, runs out of, its benefits are not, not working, then it moves, either becomes communal or it becomes, it polarizes people, because that is a sure way of getting
Why
its
do you
votes.
feel the Badshahi comment is communal or polarizing?
Badshahi, I explained, they should have used Samrat, Maharaja, all kinds of comments. It has been done.
Why
It has been
Maharaj
done
will not be
deliberately.
polarizing?
Listen, did I interrupt you? No, but Agarwal, did I interrupt you?
I'll give you a right to reply. I promise I come to you.
Yeah, I'm not interrupting anybody,
Yeah,
so I
sure.
want my right to reply.
Yeah. Please.
No. As I said, that a person who does not even like the language Urdu, and when there are suitable words, Sanskrit-based words, so why does he use it? It is to make a point.
Okay.
It is to link it up with the Mughals and to, it's dog whistle politics.
Yeah, sure.
A language
And
belongs
it's
to a
also,
particular community.
and it's also
What you're
undemocratic
saying-
politics. These are the two
You're
things.
saying
He is
that
using the
one
agents.
particular
1
language
minute.
one language belongs to a particular community, ma'am. Is that what you're saying?
No,
the
I
English
don't. That is what the BJP
what we are
believes,
doing,
sir.
we
No,
are doing in
everything
English
you are
debate.
doing-
English belongs to
Please,
only
let me conduct the debate.
That is
No,
the
Mr.
question.
Agarwal.
Is the English belongs
It
to
is
only
not the same
What
one
have I
thing.
started?
What is
I am
happening?
a South
Shaman,
Indian.
Shaman,
One minute,
Can I
one
speak?
minute, one minute.
Come on, yeah.
What is happening on this
narration.
panel
Their own
is what
thoughts
is
and
happening in this
narration
country.
comes from
The
BJP.
BJP is shouting down anyone who does
No,
not
I will
agree
not
with
allow.
it.
It will be my
That is
failing
all
if I
want
allow
to
that
say.
to happen.
Sanket,
Shama Mohammed.
just one take
Mr. Agarwal, please, one
I
by
want to speak. Please
Yeah.
don't interrupt. Now, I have to reply to a couple of things. They spoke about triple talaq. We are against triple talaq. The Supreme Court came out and said null and void. Now, why do you criminalize that person? My thing is, anybody, whether it's a Muslim, Hindu, Christian who leaves his wife and children, should be also criminalized if you're going to criminalize that person. So that's just because he's a Muslim. Number two, he spoke about divide and rule. Now I see something called, I'm a Muslim, I know Shias and Sunnis, I hear something called Pashminda Muslims. Now who's bringing in that? Again, you're dividing Muslims there. You give two of them MLCs, you give two Shias MLCs, there is no Sunni in this picture. So dividing Muslims is the thing. Now what was the thing for CAA? Everybody else could come into the country except people from Muslim, wherever you can't, from Bangladesh you can't. Why from Sri Lanka you could not? Why the minorities from Sri Lanka could not? Because the minorities in Sri Lanka are the Hindus as well as the Muslims. So again, how does the Muslim feel? Everywhere you're putting out the Muslim. Then he spoke about the amount of price which, everything is going the right way. During our time, why was the petrol price less? Because the excise duty was very low. Now here, everything is so expensive. Excise duty is around 34. Our time it was around 9.
But
So let me say,
loan on oil was very high.
No, let me finish.
The loan on oil was very
let
high
me
during
finish.
your time.
Loan on oil. Oil has been deregulated, my dear. So
I'm
once it's
talking
been
about your time.
so my time
I'm
loan.
talking about your times.
So what happened during
Oil
Vajpayee's
bonds
time?
are
We
still
oil bonds
being
wait.
paid.
All points have been, or Vajpayee's oil bonds we paid. Our oil bonds are they're hardly compared to the 20.
Iran account.
I'm not at 20, more than 25,000 crore. What have you done with that? You're not telling us, you're not giving us a white paper. You've collected an excise duty. Now, Manrega, they keep pointing fingers at Manrega. Manrega, when 8 crore people under the lockdown went back to the villages, Manrega saved them. Let us all know about that.
And the budgetary provision was increased.
Budget
It was increased.
Yes.
And now
it's coming down. Let me
No,
see.
it has not been decreased.
Wait, it has
No,
been
it is not the 1 lakh crore it used to be earlier.
The thing is,
And-
Manrega, this wrong narration is being built.
But can
it
I-
was in the earlier budgeted estimate was 60,000. During pandemic, it was increased to 90,000.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm
saying. And at present, it is above the 60,000.
No.
crore.
The
thing is,
Manrega
it has not
budget
been
has gone
reduced.
down.
It was at that
pandemic
No,
was
and
a
also,
time-
let me finish
Yeah.
my point
It was a
uninterrupted.
Quickly,
I did
ma'am.
not interrupt
Quickly,
you.
please.
See, and then they say Badshahi, what is Badshahi politics? Badshahi politics
Badshahi,
is
yes.
when
you switch off the mics of members of parliament. When it goes mute. Nobody can speak there. And when treasury branches start protesting. In the history of India, the treasury branch was...
Badshahi.
That is Badshahi, and the Badshahi is Narendra Modi.
I want to put some important points.
Yes.
You didn't tell clear about the triple talaq. You keep
what I want to say, I'll say.
That is against
you cannot define what I'll say.
Bulldozing is Muslim men. Every time it's against Muslims. CAA against Muslims.
One by one.
Everything is against Muslims.
You have had your say. Shama Mohammed, one
You know that?
You have said what you have to.
Those are also your voters, madam.
Sanketji.
I'm talking about how this government
only
is against
Mr.
the
Gopal
Muslims.
Krishna Agarwal, please. Yes.
There are 2-3 important. What is happening is, if you take action against Atiq Ahmed, you are penalizing Muslims.
Please take action against Atiq Ahmed.
Let me complete.
He's a gunda? Nobody is talking about Atiq
Shama
Ahmed.
Mohammed, please.
If you take action against Atiq Ahmed, you are penalizing Muslims. And if
But
you
who has said
give
that?
MLC...
Who said that? Who
No,
said that?
I'm telling... I'm saying it.
You are saying it.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah,
truth.
yeah.
He is
Yeah.
saying
Mr.
it.
Agarwal,
That's
you are
the
building
truth.
an argument.
You are,
Yeah,
he is
I'm
saying
telling
it.
you. Let me finish.
Look
Let
at
me
the
finish.
one more.
So you are saying it, not the
Let him
Muslims.
complete. No, let him
Gopal Agarwal, the BJP is saying it. Let me make it clear, not the Muslims.
Okay, one more. Yes,
Why
Mr.
not
Agarwal.
Hari Shankar Tiwari?
Please, only Mr.
The second part is, when you give MLC ticket to the Pasmanda Muslim, you are dividing the country. So this is the narration they want to build. What is happening is, Congress and opposition and certain intellectuals, they have their own mindset and put that thought on BJP's narration. They say that BJP is building. I am giving you the contrast. Action against Atiq is against Muslim,
BJP
but
is the victim in
MLC
Sanket,
to
the
Muslim
BJP is
is
the victim
division
in
of
this, right?
Muslims. This is the narration. What
BJP
happened
is
is
the victim.
BJP, no perception of narration will win any election unless there is truth in
Delivery.
it. The thing is not delivery.
Then
It is the truth. BJP is saying that minority appeasement was the politics of Congress, and that has stood the minds of the people, that the people have accepted, and therefore we are giving a neutrality to it. And that narration we are saying,
But what
that
about what about the perception of
minorities right over the resources is not prime.
No, one
It
more.
is
Mr.
all
Agarwal,
based
what
on-
about the perception of minority victimization, as was mentioned right here?
Yeah,
No,
minority
Yeah, one more.
victimization is
I've asked a question.
Bulldozing.
I've asked a question. Your response.
You arrest them. Why do you bulldoze their houses?
The Sachar committee report
Again,
says
it goes to
that
go to Sachar
minority
committee report.
had been used as a vote bank politics. Read the Sachar committee. It has not been brought by us. It was brought by Congress. They have said
Okay.
that Muslim after 60 years
Okay,
have
I'm out of time.
failed.
Yeah,
The thing is,
okay, fine.
They have used it as a
Quick,
vote
10
bank.
seconds.
A.K. Antony in 2 occasions said, Sanket, that Congress have this politics of minority appeasement has made them to be here in this situation of Congress.
Yeah. He
So
did-
I think he did said twice, not once. And once when he said that, he lost his chief ministerial position.
Yeah.
And in the recent past, he again said
Chalo,
it.
in the
I think
recent
it is
past,
a truth.
no,
his
It
son
is
has
a
also
truth.
gone to
It is a hard truth.
No, what I'm
Minority
saying is
Beta
that
Hudson
why don't
India.
you tell the law of the land?
Why-
Why are you only bulldozing
Sanket,
this
Yes.
thing?
we have
And
countered that
why did-
narration, and that has accepted by the mindset of the people.
Okay,
No, ask us
completely
why
run out
is
of
the
time.
narration
Aarti
of-
Jain
Why
as well as
Badshahi
Mr.
is not
Agarwal.
allowed?
Last comment,
Why
10
the
seconds.
Badshahi is not allowed?
Shankar
Not
Baba is
allowed
not
to
like this.
speak in parliament.
No, Mughals are not weak.
House will have to be
Badshahi is
adjourned.
Narendra Modi.
Too much ruckus, house will have to be adjourned. Aarti Jain.
Sanket, the Prime Minister would be very happy today to hear this panel discussion,
Yeah.
because this panel discussion has achieved exactly
What he wanted,
to,
huh?
which
Allow
is
me to
to
give 10
polarize,
seconds.
Yeah.
divide
Ah.
on communal
actually the
versus
truth
secular
of the
lines.
country is
But
this.
the fact is, and the sad thing is, that under this cacophony, you are burying the real issues that afflict voters today, because nobody is discussing them,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Everybody is
Give me
only going to
10
discuss
seconds. Give
Hindu
me 10
versus
seconds.
Muslim.
Yeah, okay. Yes, please. quick.
See,
We'll wind
Sanket, we are trying to read intention into what Prime Minister said, and that to a malified one, which probably Prime Minister never even intended, nor he knew about it. But we sitting here are ascribing that malified intention. Please see the speech.
Does the BJP not do that?
No, but
For speeches of the opponents?
So let me tell you.
For instance, Modi's surname violation or negating all the OBCs of the country.
Who went to the court against Rahul Gandhi for defamation? One of the Modis, not the Prime Minister. Please remember that. And secondly, let me also tell you, when this happens, when this happens, and the Prime Minister's speech in one breath, he gave you the account of last 15 days, the achievements, and still he was not being able to tell you even 15 or 20%.
Okay.
The rest 85%
Prime
was
Minister
still
of
to be
India
told.
does not allow Parliament
And
to function.
therefore- No, he
said
Parliament, why is he scared of a
Parliament-
JPC?
Okay.
Why is he scared of a JPC on Adani? Tell us that.
Completely run out of time. Mr. Agnihotri, 10 seconds, please.
देखिए, Prime Minister,
Last word.
Prime Minister is a very intelligent person, intelligent politician.
I'm sure he is.
And what he wanted to convey, he conveyed. And now the narrative will go down like Agrawal Sahab, Deshnathan ji, Nambiar Sahab, all the BJP supporters and cadres of RSS
Will take
and
this
workers,
message.
they will take this message to the ground.
They will-
That is the
they will-
counter view because
they will
they
send
read
it-
the malefied intention.
They will
into
send
it.
this
Shama
message on.
Mohammed and other will say that this is a division of
Okay, they will also. I've run out of time. The House adjourned to meet again next Friday. Thank you very much.
One language
We have
belongs
come
to a
to the end
community.
of this edition of the Big Five. The Prime Minister also said, take the message to Instagram Reels and Twitter and all. So he has given you a fresh task. Thank you very much for joining us. The Big Fight will continue next week. Thanks for watching.